the world would tremble. Settra would see to it personally. His empire now stretched from the land of the dead to the southern Badlands, and encompassed the entirety of the southern jungles save a lone province. This was merely the beginning. Soon, Lamia would be brought back into the Empire by force of arms, and Dawn's Landing in the far south would be claimed by Settra and Sahinisbet's combined might. The Vulture Lord was punishing the savages of the Badlands and had surrounded Ekrund, while Archon worked to rebuild the ruins left by the Children of Chaos. Wrapup II had endured much on his journey across the southern wastes, much of what he saw teetering on the brink of a madman's nightmare. But for his king, he pressed ever onward, mapping and charting the settlements, swarming with all manner of fluorescent horror. Now reaching the end of the landmass, he has been given a new series of tasks. Venture to Lustria, locate new kingdoms with which to trade, and map the area for Khemri's eventual conquest of the continent. The Mortuary Cult had also made great strides increasing the power of the Empire. They have both uncovered the lost teachings of the Third Dynasty, and performed a ritual to bind a new army to Settra's will, albeit at great personal financial cost to the Great King. Now, 2 new armies march afield, led by Hierophant Enethor, blessed by Tahath, an especially adept Lich High Priest, specializing in the lore of Nehekara. And also by King Rahotep, a friend to many from his time with the diplomats. He is blessed by Thoth, the god of justice, and will be of great service in bringing the glory of Khemri peacefully to the lesser kingdoms of the world. Amenemhet was roused from his work reinforcing the enchantments placed upon his tomb barks by his scouts. An orc war party was quickly moving their way from the north to reinforce the outmatched defenders of Ekrund. He chuckled to himself and gave the order to turn and meet the approaching savages. They were so much easier to slaughter when they came to him. And let the battle begin. At least we don't have to spend all that time chasing the orcs down. They are glad to charge into battle, no matter the stakes. We've got all of the carrion up front to act as a screen for those arrows and to hunt down any of his artillery teams. He's got 1 unit of rock lobbers there that we've got to shut down. We've got all of our Vulture Legion as well as 1 of the Corsair Legion up front to screen and just get some preemptive damage on any of those rollers. The Vulture Legion actually has pretty good melee stats on their own, and as soon as I say that, melee stats are really not that great, so we want to keep them a bit more safe, but I've got them in a dangerous position just for some cheeky damage. Amenemhet is going to be moving as quickly as he can on the Night Gobbo War Boss, since he is going to be not the best in melee. Amenemhet should do a good job in dealing with him. They do have their reinforcements coming in a minute 30, and that's all of the main orcs and some ogres as well, lending their might to the battle. But I think they will arrive far too late. I'll speed things on up as the infantry charges in. Flaming arrows and the Tomb Prince approach. Tomb Barks lending their extra physical resistance to everyone that they are passing over the top. Those Flappers are taking some severe damage right off the bat. We will slow things down, move on over. We had decided to drop a hit of Shades on top of Amenemhet as he charges on in. Anything that decides to meet him in combat is going to have the worst day as their soul is sucked from their body. 2 Barks moving up on the other end as well as the Rock Lobbers are quickly routed on off. Having a delicious Gobbo snack. We do want to get these carried out of here though, because these Snotling Pump Wagons are going to be quite nasty in a if they do actually get them bogged down. The carrion are better with Amenemhet, but they're still carrion, so they would rather not be battling. Flame arrows flying out. The squigs have made it on in, but the Bronze Legion will quickly rout off those squigs. They think they're real scary until a javelin pierces them through the chest. Little mushroom boys. Also, marketing opportunities. Squig. Fluff pillows. We've got the tomb barks sailing on in. They've got an anti-infantry as well, so anytime I decide to land them, I'm just trying to find a weakened target with leadership starting to waver, and they will crash in and eliminate them. As one can see with the Night Gobbos Squig Hoppers. Having a real bad time because the tomb bark has arrived. Gonna sail on in and do plenty of damage. If they get all bogged down, the axes can come on in and cleave through that flesh as well. Do you want to pull these Vulture Legion back so they're not sitting there in the middle of combat? Basth Legion has gone up a little bit too far, so the spiky Rollas, if they decide to charge forward, can do some good damage. They may choose to turn and run, though. King Nekaph is bullying the orcs, but he does have a debuff on him now. He's got the smoke bomb, so he's a little bit slower, and his armor is sundered as well. Besides that, he is having a good old time. Same thing with our Carrion. Ripping the flesh from the orcs. With glee. They brought some elite troops here, but they do not quite have enough to bring down Venomheadum and his vultures. As we rout off a main portion of this first group here, we want to make sure as many of them as we can do retreat. Our Tombrinds did get caught in by these spiky Rollas, and they're doing pretty good damage against him. We want to get all of our arrows and javelins, focusing on over on them, and quickly dethroning them. Two fall, a third. The javelin should finish off the final, and he just teleported on over. The flash step is deadly. Their reinforcements arrive, and their original lord is being chased off by the cape-clad Bad Buns. We're having the vultures swoop down on the weakened targets and either chase them off or get them to where they are shattered, completely unplayable. There's a lot of routing units, and we want to make sure that all of them remain routing so we don't get stabbed in the back at all. This unit here is shattered. They are not coming back no matter what. You can effectively ignore them unless you just like to make sure that unit is no longer usable. Carrion are very adept at chasing units down. The problem is once they do catch them, they don't actually do all that much damage. So while they're good at catching units, finishing them off is not exactly their strong suit. Night Gobbos getting their backs exposed to a pin cushioning. So when they're throwing javelins the whole size of the Night Gobbos at them. And the enemy approaches. We did end up getting one of our Carrion caught in and amongst some ogre bulls. Definitely not where they want to be. Chasing off another unit while I was attention focused elsewhere. And the birds are crushed. These ogres are going to be sad though. There is not a speck of meat on these birds. Not one bit. No chicken wings for you, and mostly just friendly fire. Let the orcs surge on over, as Nekaph continues to rout off the individual forces of Night Gobbos. Pulping them up, as is their right. In charge of the Biggins, leading the way. The normal orc boys lagging behind just a bit. I would probably do this the other way. I would have the regular orc boys leading the charge, and those Biggins ready to surround. Couple units left. Got some Carrion that need to be given a target, and we're going to try to lead the rest of this unit back over to where our missiles are. No reason to get ourselves out of position. We will take the high ground and let them come to us. We still have plenty of javelins and arrows to use. Time to make use. On the other end there, we do have the trolls moving on over. They have overextended themselves quite a bit, so we're going to move in several of our forces all at once, keep them guided along by the tomb bark. And as soon as I see that leadership start wavering, I'll charge the tomb bark in and break them. We're going to get both the fire arrows and the armor sundering arrows on these trolls, going to be weakening that regeneration, and they flee. On the other side here, though, Vangeist's Revenge ripping through the front line. Give him a broadside indeed. Most of the orcs are now half the orc they used to be, and the ones that survive are going to have severe issues. We've got our carrion flying on over the top, just try to hunt down the archers that have definitely got themselves overextended. I was going to ignore these night Gobbos and send them directly after the ones in the back, just so they would have a hard time reinforcing. More spiky rollers charge into combat just to get cut down by flame arrows. And Crab summoned to help out Amenem in his battle. We can see the pulp. All those poor orcs. First volley of javelins goes away. Those biggins absolutely do not want to be fighting against Tomb Guard. Unfortunately, the Vulture Legion is a bit too far forward. But it is a killing ground here. Oh, I thought that Vulture Legion was going to punch the orc in the face. I was like, that is the bravest man you'll ever see. Oh, a javelin backed into the spine there. That orc's a champion for keeping the fight up. Just an absolute slaughter on that front there. We've got plenty of arrows flying, a bit of friendly fire coming in on the backs here, and I think just planking harmlessly against the artillery team there. I did not see that bit of wood was blocking us. The tomb bark is sailing around in the back, causing some problems. Night Gobbos figuring out that they are definitely the low rung on the food chain here, as that one gets launched into orbit in a torrent of blood. Getting the old Obi-Wan treatment. They have something against arms. Lads sailing confidently along, striking a power pose. They should fire some arrows as well, unless they are fully out of their ammunition. They are, so that's why they are down and routing off these units. The orcs run. There is not a soul left fighting. Even the black orcs ripped to shreds. Those that remain being murdered by gigantic Leviathan, or I guess little Prometheans, and spears from the Bronze Legion. A marvelous first victory. And even with reinforcements, the Bloody Hands prove weak. We only ended up losing the Scavenger's Wrath. They got a little bit away from me there, and we were unable to pull them out of combat, but that's fine. They fall with honor. We will go ahead and grab the... We didn't really take all that much casualty or damage, even a little bit, so we'll go ahead and grab the organs then. Keep those canopic jars flowing. The Lore Masters have woven their own destruction. Through a series of poor diplomatic decisions, the haughty Asaph find themselves facing down a dual invasion by the unstoppable legions of Khemri, and the unending tide of destruction that was chaos. Settra's advisors whisper that the Asur are surely corrupted by the Changer, for even after the recent destruction of Tor Serpendar, they're unwilling to end the war they themselves started with Settra. The Great King would gladly purge any corruptions from these lands and resettle them for Khemri. While back home, another Khemric Titan statue had begun restoration in Khsar. And then to apply the skills we gained from our victory, I think we'll go ahead and grab the arrows of Asaph to make his Vulture Legion have a bit more ammunition there. Oh, it looks nice to me. We'll see if anyone else has any points. Wrapup the Third does. And we shall give him the Over My Dead Body. Give him a bit more health.
Fire on them.
Direct our Shadow Mage. I think we'll just go ahead and hand him over the Canopic Jar Hoarder, start giving some more jars per turn. I like his magic we currently have, and we don't really have enough magic to be using all of it, plus Amenem Hedim's pretty costly deep spells there.
A
We will then go ahead and claim Ekrund. We should be able to destroy them no problem with an auto-resolve. This army is weak. Lost 240. 6 canopic jars to be gained. Ekrund falls to us. His new city. It's looking a little bit rough. We gotta get it cleaned up and deal with the wildlife flapping around.
Address me as your highness.
In Ekrund, I will go ahead and destroy this building. I'm happy to keep the Skull Workshop since that's already maxed out. And this Osirium pit here is tier 3, so we'll leave it as well. We'll throw in some walls and then go ahead and grab... Since we are going to go ahead and snag the rest of these in due time, we'll go ahead and just snag the Charnel Plaza to get our movement a bit up for the next turn there. Once the Scorpion Nest goes away, is there anything special we can build in Ekrund? The answer is no. It is a savage town, so no new landmarks for us. This big blue chicken wishes to do battle. That we can do. He is fielding a mostly chosen force, as well as a couple exalted pinks, one set of normal little yo-go balls, some chaos knights with lances, soul grinders of Tzeentch, which that missile strength that is going to be very good against large, exalted flamers. He's got a pretty nasty army. We ourselves have the loyal and brave soldiers of Khemri. Let's see what we've got. This feathered demon prince has made his final mistake. Tzeentch's servant has turned his gaze upon Settra, and in his folly, brought his war host to attack the great king as he rebuilds Tor Serpendar. We will gladly take this opportunity to again deliver excruciating death to this puppet. Let us send them back to the void screaming. And so the time comes to face down our first war host of Tzeentch. Our first true war host of Tzeentch, that is. The last one was really pitiful and not worth battling in the slightest. So our setup for this one is as follows. We've got all of our infantry off to one side, kind of more clumped up than normal. Even though he does have a good bit of magic that can punish this, we want to make sure they are kind of maneuvering in the way we want. So we'll take a bit of casualties, especially since the Realm of Souls will pop off. So injure who you will, especially if it goes after my archers, which are definitely by far my weakest unit. So arrows are firing on away. They will plank harmlessly against barrier shields to start, since Tzeentch units do have a bit of barrier that is over the top of their health. It is based on how much health they go into the battle with, or how much they currently have, I mean. And that is going to be able to recharge if they are out of combat for, I believe it is 10 or so seconds. I'm not exact. I'll have to go back and check the exact number there, but the barrier can recharge, making them quite deadly if you're not able to continuously keep damage on. They are kind of all scrunched on up. They're just going to keep wiggling on around. They are not sure the exact tactics. They've got all my chariots off to the side. Plan was to lure in his knights, and as soon as they decided to charge, either the knights or the screamers, once they decided to charge, all of the rest of the chariots would converge on that one unit's position. But the moment the barriers are blocking those arrows, you can kind of see them flanking off an invisible barrier there. Same thing with the artillery blast, but artillery does a really good job of ripping barrier off many units at once. Anything hit by the AoE will lose that damage as if they got hit, so beautiful stuff. But we need to charge forward quickly because any kind of magic they are able to use is going to continue to boost their overall capabilities, as Tzeentch is able to use their army abilities based on how much magic they cast. Big Bird, the Glass Jaw. More artillery crashes down. I had them focusing on the Chosen of Tzeentch. I realized that that actually was not going to be their deadly unit and had them focus to the Pink Horrors, as Settra sneaks around behind and jumps on the Exalted Flamer. The issue being here is Settra on his chariot is actually quite a big target. And as you see, the horses actually don't do all that much damage when they impact. Settra is the one that does the damage with his glaive there when he actually swings it. I'm going to slow things down so I can explain. The reason I like Settra on the War Sphinx is just the chariots are just not good in combat. Once they do get into melee, they are meant to charge through lines of infantry over and over and over again. Since we're fighting in armies that have important units like single entities like the Exalted Flamer or Big Bird here, I'm probably going to swap Settra over to his War Sphinx as a kind of tactics thing. Anytime we're facing down huge swaths of infantry, the Chariot of the Gods will be doing insane work. Indeed. So we'll just kind of keep Settra moving around as a tactics genius, as the Necrosphinx jumps all over some knights. Get those gigantic blades moving. No knights have fallen just yet, those shields kind of negating a bit of their damage. I guess I'm a liar here. Nekaph is the Night Slayer as he kills yet another with a slash of his Kapesh. The demon stingrays have arrived. And the chariots are doing battle with knights, and normally I would think the chariots would not do all that great, but these armor-piercing Royal Guard chariots are actually quite devastating once they get into combat. So I will take back my previous statement of the chariots not being all that great in melee. These guys break that mold. Bit overwhelmed on this force though, so they're going to pull on back and let the archers fire on the backs of these guys. Got several groups of Chosen with halberds moving on over, and we really don't want any of our chariots fighting against them. Bonus versus large and magical attacks, these guys are devastating, and they look incredible. I would have one of these halberds hanging on the wall. Would it corrupt the house? Possibly. Risk I'm willing to take. Same thing with the regular Chosen. We're going to go ahead and take a look. The plate armor on these guys is just too awesome to not admire. Even with my... Oh, there we go. That's not exactly what we need. Look at that. Another helmet for my helmet collection. Along with every single one of the different variants of the Lone Trooper helmet. From the old school Star Wars. The Kepler Guard charging on in. Blades ready. They're going to blend up some horrors. They're going to take a bit of damage on that way in, though. Pink Flame. Hiss of Warp. It burns. Those are plasma burns. Chosen turning around, realizing that they have a nasty threat coming at them from the rear with a dual Tomb Guard combo. We're going to try to quickly close the gap here and engage these pink horrors. Any of the horror variants do not want to be engaged with any of our Tomb Guard, even our halberds, which are not really meant for bringing down infantry teams. The Necrosphinx is dueling Big Bird, who is coated in his own blood. A battle he absolutely should not have taken, even with the backup of these halberds. He is nearly crumbling away. And Settra has been back in the back, just kind of dodging shots from the Soul Grinders pretty much the entire battle. He has mastered every single D of dodgeball. Except for in the beginning of the battle where he caught every single flame that they threw at him. Charging into the unprotected rear of these halberds is going to be the best way to deal some damage to them. And a few go down in a spray of blood. Spray of blood and lag. More cleansing of warp flame flying on down. Bathing the... I guess almost hitting our Necrosphinx, instead pulping several of the warriors. They chose the wrong day to be on this guy's team. Friendly fire turned to maximum. Oh, he's got a little set of scrolls there. Almost thought that was a microphone. He's shouting at them. Yeah, maybe next time aim a bit better. Otherwise, the Big Bird is going to be very mad once he sees you in the warp again. Magic wreaking havoc on our archers, though. Rending bone. We're going to jump over here before the lag. If we get too close, the lag will strike. Golden Hounds are bouncing on through, having a great time. Our archers are not having a great time. But like I said before the battle began, if anyone was going to take damage from the magic, I'm happy to let it be them. One of the stray blue fire shots comes on down and finds itself a target. Exploding the guys who thought they were safe. You're never safe. Not when Siege is around. Back over here with Alpha Team Squadron. Most of the Chaos Knights have been killed. A few of them remain. We're trying to draw them away from these halberds. That way we don't lose any more of our lovely chariots. Several of the chariots of the gods had to fall in today's combat just because of their elite status. They get put into a bit more dangerous scenarios. I expect more out of them. These poor halberds have been kind of jogging back and forth for the better part of the battle. Big Bird is still phasing on away. We'll take things out of slow-mo so some fight can commence. A very good shot from our Casket of Souls, but we are going to want to stop its firing very soon because as the Big Bird crumbles into oblivion and most of his soldiers run, all we have left is these big single entity monsters, and our Realm of Souls, or our Casket of Souls, is going to do more damage to our own. As another demon is cast into oblivion. Settra does the same with these pink horrors. They have been found wanting. That basically just leaves the different halberd teams and the soul grinders. Let's get to it. You basically just have to surround these poor soul grinders with Tomb Guard, and the Tomb Guard will do work. As our archers receive more magical fire. Basically just trying to rip that barrier off. So when our Tomb Guard does arrive, they don't have to waste any time chunking into that health bar. Settra smashes on in. We're going to want to pull him out of combat pretty quick. He's got very low health, but he's got a lot of charge bonus. This poor Chosen. Caught between a rock and a hard place. I mean, you can see they are still deadly as they rip through our chariot guard. Just a few moments of contact is all it takes. And so we're going to want to let our Tomb Guard get involved and rout them off, because the chariots are not rated for heavily armored, armor-piercing halberds. Most of the armies of Chaos are now retreating for their lives as Nekaph's forced surrender goes down and makes a lot of them rethink their decision. Soul Grinder is fizzling on away. Deals a bit more damage. Tries to get me through the camera even. Get a bit of a fourth wall break. As the demons fizzle on away to nothing. Back to the warp. We are scared of nothing, although these soldiers are having a bit of a bad day. They'll regenerate as long as they haven't been vaporized. The final demon falls, and that is the battle. Settra stands victorious. Only a few of this demon's filthy followers managed to actually flee that battle there with these chosen halberds and the swordsmen, and they may not even manage to survive. We lost 115. We took quite a wall up there, especially when they focus fire down one target with those missiles. Each can be pretty deadly. We will go ahead and bind these souls. We are ready to continue the fight against the elves down here. Isis is now leading this army, and Settra is going to strike on out and attack. No reason to waste time. Give that one to the auto-resolve. We lost but one. Took a lot of damage on our single individual targets there, probably just because of the blue fires it gives. We'll harvest some organs up just so we continue to gain 30 there. And then for our research, we'll start working on the proclamations. We have more than enough gold to start grabbing the 5,000 verse. We'll grab the proclamation of the third dynasty here just to reduce construction cost for all of our provincial capital and settlement buildings. Give us an additional 2 control and then increase income from settlement buildings by 10%. So the third dynasty it is. Make ready our cities, build upon strong foundations so they stand the test of time. Further up in the Badlands, we can finally move on the Crooked Fang Fort. Got 100% Skaven corruption, so we are 100% positive there are some Skaven hiding behind these walls. We are going to have yet another siege here with Nekaph. Let's see if we can't lure them out beyond the walls. Let's throw in a couple Tomb King towers, and then we will, not auto-resolve, but we will surround the town. We could auto-resolve it and just win, but that would be of no sporting value. We'll continue the siege. Look at these savages run. Reap their souls, legions. Let us gather a banquet of death in Joff's honor so that he might feast. Show them what fate awaits all who would threaten Khimri. And then we don't quite have enough movement to continue on, so we will start channeling to gain a bit more magic. We have gained the founder of the Kharan Navy. We just have to get up to rank 20 to grab the Corsairs of the Zandri Coast to give us more Tomb Guard Corsairs, and then give those Corsairs a bit of a buff. Then we can start getting even more goodies. First, though, we'll swing on back down and grab the Arrows of Asaph. And then Mahrak here can grab himself the Canopic Jar Hoarder. We're getting 2 a turn instead of just the 1. I foresee issues with the dwarves very soon. Go ahead and throw in the Nekaph and Peasant Tombs here in Ekrund and start upgrading the Funerary District. A little bit more gold, and I don't believe I'm going to spend it. We'll keep saving for the turn. Except for over here in Lybaras, we do need to start upgrading once more, so change my mind quite quickly. Gold to spend.
Attend your king.
Wrapup is still recruiting up more soldiers. I've given him the 3 bronze host of Khsar and then some carrion. Wrapup is most likely going to be the one that we do switch off for someone else, but at current he has got Fox, the god of sky and justice, giving his carrion a bit more charge bonus and melee attack. I'd like to also give him some Shabti with Great Bow, but those are in a different region for now.
Legions rise.
We could move him up into Khimri so he can grab those. But not a bad idea. Is he already using all of the recruitment slots? He is not. The Lich Priest is going to be the one that we continue to keep. Wrapup will be replaced once we have one of the more unique lords sent back to rest. We will give him, though, some Shabti Great Bow. Yeah, just 2 of the Shabti Great Bow, and let's grab some of the Ancient Tomb Mummies just because they act as aspiring champs. Very strong. It would appear that we have finally met one among the Asso with enough sense to not declare war on us at first sight. Settra was not foolish. He knew allies would be a valuable resource. His empire would need servants, and perhaps the Knights of Khalidor would serve the kingdom well. His diplomats were dispatched, and soon establishment of trade and a pact of non-aggression were agreed upon. The Lizard Riders of Settra had been a powerful mainstay in the city-state's military in the old times. Now the bonded riders have been reduced to but a rare few. We have managed to reanimate and bring together a single regiment, and they now march to join up with Waka's Desert Riders, eager to compete against the Horsemen and their lesser 4-legged mounts. The blue horrors infecting Yuatek proved of little challenge to Settra and the crushing wheels of his chariot hosts. They quickly cut down every gibbering incandescent blob in sight, and set the Tomb Guard to the unenvious task of clearing the city in brutal house-to-house engagements. Once the city was cleansed, the task of rebuilding and reestablishing order in the surrounding countryside could commence. And some filthy beasts of chaos have approached. We shall not allow this. Settra, get on it. We will declare war on them immediately. There will be no Beastmen of Chaos of the Brass Bull. So it turns out he's already been destroyed. I think that's the only time they come back is these horde armies like this. Oh, he retreated. Interesting. Alright, let's get back into friendly territory then, so we continue to replenish and at least block him from heading towards Serpendar, since this is not a weak army. We can still get past and head it. That's a little unfortunate. Can we march stance into the town? There we go. See if we can actually just sit outside. They'd be more likely to attack if we do. I am happy to lure them into a battle they don't want. Our Khimric Titan is available, so it's time to actually also send him in march. We're going to bring ruin to the High Elves. We didn't want this war, once again, but I'm going to finish you off. We can't trust anyone that has ever declared war on us. Trusted them in the past, and look where it gets us. Or land. We're going to bring Rasut over to the Granite Mists at Massif. We are preparing to betray Khalida and start a war that she is absolutely not prepared for. Only reason we have not just yet is Imrik is actually friends with her, so we would like to gain some relations with Imrik before we do kick that war off, just so he doesn't immediately betray us. See if you can assassinate this horrible creature. Failure. At least you didn't get wounded in the attempt. We'll have Archon move up and claim the Bitterstone Mine, completely finishing off the Bloody Hands here. Annihilation is upon you. We will just go ahead and occupy that town, destroying the Bloody Hands. And now that King Thutep has been returned to us, we can go ahead and swing into our dynasties once more and find a new proclamation. I think we'll go for the proclamation of the second dynasty because it gives us a reduction to the construction cost for our cavalry buildings, which is less important, but that income from post-battle loot plus 10% and additional 10 growth for all of our provinces sounds amazing. We'll quickly spend the 5,000 for From the Sands Come the Steed and Shadow. The desert stables opened the Gallop of Death. Alright, Teclis is down to just the 2 settlements, so I think we are going to do a blitz maneuver. I'm going to send Sehenesmet over to the Fortress of Dawn if he's able to make it. He can't, actually, so that what we're going to do instead is bring him over to reinforce Settra. Stop them from retreating. And we'll send Settra over to attack Rubinus if we're allowed to. She'll probably retreat. She sticks in. That's a coward there. Settra should be able to jump on Teclis though and have Sehenesmet join. I'm actually not going to fight this one just because the army is so incredibly weak. They do have a dragon, but they would fall so fast. We will give this one to the auto. Let's see if any of our soldiers go ahead and lose their lives there. Nope. Lose 60 total, even on the auto-resolve, which is pretty crazy. And Teclis is destroyed. Ruin unrestrained. With Teclis defeated, who will drive back the forces of chaos from the world? Well, Settra, of course. Winds of magic power reserve change, plus 10% when increasing for Settra. Could be also for Sehenesmet. Tyros is moving up north. Fair enough. We could leave Rubinus here, but we're not going to. And step. Smush. We will definitely force them to spend the gold on another lord. Every single time. Get a march stance, see if we can lure Tyros in. His overconfidence will be his undoing. We'll quickly grab a reanimate here with Sehenesmet. Give him even more heals for his soldiers. Prince Onuris is getting quite elite in combat, so we'll go ahead and give him his devastating charge.
Greatness comes.
You... I actually think we want another War Sphinx. Or maybe a Necro Sphinx. Thutep gave us another War Sphinx just for existing. We can grab another bladed variety to give to Thutep as well. The so-called High Beast Lord Rakarth of the Lustrian Dark Elves sends tribute in the form of vast sums of gold. All he asks in return is that we establish trade routes between our great nations. While there is little trust to be had for the treacherous Druki, this one does show Settra the proper respect in offering tribute instead of war, and so a deal was struck. There could be no greater dishonor. The weak-minded fools Settra left in charge of the Sorcerer's Isles had fallen to corruption. Tzeentch's machinations had finally borne fruit, and our citizens have been manipulated into declaring allegiance to the undead pirates following Luther Harkon. Retribution would be swift and total. This corruption would be purged, and Hierophant Enethor was tasked with this honor. Nekaph had waited long enough. Settra wished for him to remain outside the walls to attempt to lure the other armies in from the mountains. The rats would rush to the defense of Crooked Fang Fort, only to be ruthlessly cut down by Nekaph's riders as they made the journey. Only this didn't happen, and the desert's fury was bored by the continued order to wait for the reinforcing armies to launch the attack. They would wait no longer. Let it begin. Let's see how long these Skaven can hold against Nekaph. When we scroll on out here, we can take a look at the battle strategy. I've got the only 4 of our infantry teams in their towers and moving on in to assault the walls. No matter what the Skaven throw at them, they will easily defeat it. I've got Apophis up front, ready to either fly over the walls or just go through the gatehouse, either one. And all of our cavalry is spread out wide around the entirety of the settlement to cause as much problems as possible. Anyone with an arrow is going to be firing it, and any of the infantry units is going to be charging on in to tear apart the gates there so they can get on in and capture some points and slaughter some rats. Towers are going to do their best to stop us from getting inside the walls, though, as Usurian's Kepra Swarm does chase those Night Runners right off the walls, or else they risk being utterly annihilated off the start. Several of the rats were already defeated, and the entirety of the force as engaging. You can see they're all moving in, attacking the different entry points. The sandstorm sweeps on up, ripping through the unprepared line of Skaven, killing many. We'll have to take a look and see what his kill count is once the goes away. He is up to 18, which is not too bad. They did a lot more damage than actual kills. You need to blast away at our towers. Hopefully they do manage to make it. His artillery team is blasting away. Try to get the Kepra Swarm in on the artillery team, but they do rampage out, and we are going to lose control of them. Archers are doing their best to get an angle on, and they all release a volley. The ones on the side there are going to be getting a lot better hits. Arrows blinking into the backs of those poor Skaven slaves there. Artillery is actually doing a really good job of dealing with our poor Kepra Swarm, who was not prepared in the slightest. On the other end, we've got cavalry hitting the gates on pretty much all fronts. Ghostly warriors hit the walls, ready to slay as many rats as they can. And actually, the Lich Priest is the most excited to get down. And Nekaph breaks through the gates just in time. Arrows are flying over the wall. Absolute rain of steel. Another sandstorm kicks on in, and they drop down one of their warp bombs very ineffectively. Storm ripping through the line. Storm vermin. As Nekaph deals as much damage as he can, and one of the cavalry teams charges on in from the side. The one that he managed to summon from the sands. Where'd they come from? No one knows. They're like Pokemon. He keeps them with him in his pocket. The halberds have hit the walls as well. Somehow getting behind the rats. They were apparently all funneled in on top, and when the gates dropped down, they just ran over the top of them. So the group of halberds, not exactly who they want to be fighting, but those halberds are armor piercing, and so will be fully ignoring that clan rat's meager armor. Hoff is going in for a hug. Seeing how many hearts you can steal for Usurian. And as he does battle, the rest of the teams of cavalry work on their gates. The cavalry are not actually all that good at getting through the gates, which is fair enough. Before, it was a bit egregious where you could send in just a single unit of your doggos and they'd rip through the gates pretty quick. The artillery has been wreaking havoc on my archers outside the walls. They're going to pull away just a bit just so the targeting is not quite so simple. Nekaph, as you see, there's a ton of white flags in the back. Nekaph is doing his absolute best to crush these brats. Doesn't want to spend any more time in the Under Empire than he has to. Maybe we just have to drive them off these walls. Keep those halberds moving. Nekaph and his riders are slaughtering the storm vermin. Your halberds are rusty and weak. Ours are glorious. Their bat of the paw rips several of them apart. Storm Vermin just simply not faring well against the far superior Tomb Guard. And many are broken. The gates are open. We've got the horse archers charging on through. They've already routed off this group of Night Runners who figured out that they are not the superior skirmisher unit. Run down by the Kharan horsemen. Another warp bomb goes down very unsuccessfully, blowing up most of their own units, allowing Apophis to finish off the rest of this unit easily. Well, actually, this wasn't a warp bomb. I'm a big old fool. This was Apophis' own ability there. I lost my unit. These catapults have been doing some good work for them. They've got 24 kills. They have been launching Plague away pretty much the entire battle, entirely unopposed. I kept a swarm that I was sitting over, just didn't quite make it. They got hit once and that rampaged them. On my battle, it did at least. This one, they just kind of sat there for a moment. That is not exactly how it worked. They took a single catapult shot and decided, nah, it's time to fight. Brave Storm Vermin, holding their own for as long as they can against Apophis. Only delaying the inevitable, though. We will clear these warrens. Of that, you can be sure. Plague smashing down in the line. Those units getting directly hit. Another very good direct hit on our units, sending several sprawling. I was like, you can break it. You can't count them out, but as soon as they get here, they do rout immediately, so that group is gone. The only couple groups of clan rats that are still alive and willing to fight are these Plague Claw catapults, and those who haven't been caught by our cavalry yet. They are spearmen, however. What is approaching is simply too much. All of the cavalry slam home. They went all the way around to get in from the rear to crush them. That group of spearmen is gone. The Night Runners, too, are been run down in the streets. They all retreat. They all surrender. There is but the artillery team, which is now being dealt with by a rogue tornado. Which actually does a very good job of sticking exactly to the unit and ripping them apart, ending the battle. Save your own fur indeed. Either way, Nekaph is victorious. As foretold, Clan Moors falls, their Storm Vermin breaking underfoot like reeds. We shall go ahead and claim this decisive victory, and the fort as well. We won't sack it to lower the settlement, we want it as is. Storm kicks off once more. And we've got Headsmen. To free an enemy is a fatal mistake. Better to free them of their head. Lowering control and leadership by 3 in Nekaph's general region, which can be amazing in tandem with his already leadership lowering capabilities. Mission successful. Kingdom expands. Any enemy of Lybaras. We gain 500 treasury. More diplomatic relations with the court of Lybaras, who's about to become our next enemy, and then 20 more canopic jars. Nekaph gains himself some skills. Let's make it happen. We will max out his elite cavalrymen here, giving them all 9% more speed, weapon strength, and missile strength. Actually, I'm sorry, 12% more each on the speed, weapon strength, and then sticking to 8% on the missile strength. Still very good there. No other skills to pass out, but that is fine. We have claimed the Crooked Fang Fort. Comes with the Skull Workshops as well. Well, I mean, if I don't have to put in the growth building, I'm probably just going to keep that in. We've got a lot of chariots now. Get those walls working. And then we will keep the Vault Guards in as well, just to eliminate any kind of undercities from spreading. We will tell Khalida she is trespassing. She's not going to continue trespassing. She wants to be our friend. However, there is no time for friendship. And it is time to give out yet another proclamation. Either the 6th or the 4th. The 4th is giving us more income from sacking and looting, more ambush chance, and less construction costs for walls, garrisons, citadels, and estate buildings. Or less construction costs for construct buildings, more local recruitment for all provinces, and more winds of magic. I actually think the proclamation of the 6th sounds much better, so we're going to grab that one for now. Settra would delay the invasion no more. Lybaras was growing powerful, and if he didn't conquer the upstart nation, Khalida would prove a potent threat to his rule. Let the High Queen be tested, and brought into our empire through force. She would never bow unless there was no doubt in Settra's leadership. Queen Rasut is to begin the assault. Let it begin. And with war beginning, Rasut now moves to the Granite Massif. Let us see if she handles Nehekarans as well as she does bandits. It's going to give us a close victory here. Rasut already has magical attacks, so let's hand off the Lichbone Pendant here to Krata Oisit. The Court of Lybaras is bringing forth Sahut the Wizard, a Necrotect of no or ill repute, and then a Doom Prince as well. Several Nehekara warriors, a couple archers. The most deadly here definitely going to be those Tomb Guard archers, and then some archer chariots. I think we vastly are going to have a superior force here. Let's bring war to Lybaras. And so begins our war with Khalida. Rasut is going to be beginning this fight. All 3 of the Panthers charging directly on in. Actually, we had 2 on this side, and Khalida summoned her Spectral Panther right off the bat. 3 charging on in, and the Battle Kitties as well. Let's quickly get moving on around. Basth's abilities are allowing them to move extra fast, so the battle is commencing at a incredible speed. War Sphinx and the Prince moving in from the other end there with the Tepra Guard as well as the Ancient Tomb Mummies. And then the Constructs all charging in from one bridge, going to be leveling anything that stands in their way. These Nehekara warriors stand no chance. And they charge, swiping on in, crushing apart the Nehekara warriors that stand in their way. Khalida has not quite, well, I guess this is just a normal city, so we will not get to see the full might of what she's wielding just yet. And they're bounding into combat. And the Battle Cats are completely surrounded by the Spearmen there, as Khalida is slowly but surely getting into combat with them. The Greater Basth doing incredible work, leaving a path for the smaller Tomb Cats to move on in and rip apart the enemy. They've got themselves a Legionary Barrage coming in, does some fair damage to our own troops, and actually rips apart his own. Since we do have a lack of archers, we want to make sure we are shutting down any of their own. We got a group of Battle Cats that have snuck around from the rear there and are moving in to eliminate this group of archers. And they charge. Slamming into the ankles, pulling as many of them down as they can. They are going to grab a Neru's Incantation of Protection, which will actually keep them protected against our Basth since they are not rolling with any magical attacks themselves. A very good cast. We got Necro Serpents moving to claim points. We were doing a blend of just smashing units and capturing any of the control points that we were able. The Lion Legion, or the Lions of the Sand, have completely shut down these chariots, and the Kepra Guard moving in from the rear there to eliminate those spearmen. The blend of Ancient Tomb Mummies and Sphinx has been way too much for these poor chariots to handle, and they are being destroyed as the Tomb Prince does his thing against a whole horde of Nehekara warriors. He's already got a pile around him, he's doing work. They do need to swing faster, they just gotta... Not enough potency in that swing. They just swing a little bit too slow. They stand there and look at people for a bit longer than you'd expect. Most of the archers have been engaged in combat. They're either trying to run away or are standing to die bravely. Most choosing, though, to turn and run. And they will crumble away as they get bitten. You got the Summon of Ushabti on an interesting choice. They are in and amongst some halberd necroserpents, which is going to go very well for them, as you can see. Necroserpents are taking a bit of damage just because they are armor-piercing, but they are holding firm. They're going to claim the point and move right on. One of the main battle lines has already been crumpled. Just a few chariots remain. They will be quickly moving to claim that point and moving to assist, while several other archer teams keep the high ground and fire down into our battle cats. Not brave enough to face us directly. Several more skeletal warriors fall, and Rasut claims yet another life herself. They've just got the unit of Nehekara warriors, as well as the 3 lords and heroes, and a couple archers left. Soon to be not that many archers left. As an absolute horde moves up the hill. Some of the Basth have dropped low enough in health to summon their Tomb Swarm, which is only going to help us destroy these units faster. That unit already starts to crumble away to nothing. They have a trap going on in, though. Doing what they can to hold up our progress. Their Tomb Prince is slaying many a battle cat, and for his crimes, Rasut is moving in to destroy. The sheer number of particles coming off the Tomb Swarms is going to cause some problems here, but we'll move on in and witness the duel of champions. The Tomb Swarm are doing work. Ripping apart those Nehekara warriors that stand in the way of Rasut and her quarry. They're the ones that are doing the majority of the damage to her. Taking a bit of damage in return. Another Legionary Barrage drops down for them as our forces overwhelm their archers on the high ground. Combination of Ushabti Ancients and Beetles moving on down to reinforce as their lord gets bullied by a beetle the size of a car. And then the Tomb Prince takes a hit to the chest that sends his soul clean from his body. Rasut wins, striking a blow against Lybaras. And in our first clash with the court of Lybaras, we only lost 40 of our own soldiers and claimed the town with no problem. Their 3 heroes were no match. Granite Massif is Rasut's. And she has gained a Charnel Valley Necrotect. Excellent, and she is now rolling around in a chariot. But I guess that is better than being on foot. We'll be moving around quite a bit quicker. Get her on a War Sphinx is what we're really looking towards. For her magics, go ahead and hand out the Penumbral Pendulum. And then we might actually go for... Oh, she has Lightning Strike already maxed out to start. Excellent. I may go ahead and grab her the Route Marcher then, just to give her a bit more movement range. No upgrades for Krata, and they took no major casualties, so the Granite Massif just belongs to us now. Not bad. It turns out the Slaughterhorn tribe was just hiding in the shadows, waiting to attack once Settra left. A cowardly tactic, but one that works out for them. We will remember this. With the Beastmen invading in the south, it's definitely important that we deal with Lybaras as fast as we can, so we're going to immediately come and take Mahrak here to secure the province. She's doing the Flintstones run to power her cart. And another quite potent garrison comes out to meet us. We will be fighting them in the city. If we go ahead and take this one to the auto-resolve, we would lose nobody, but shall have ourselves another siege against Lybaras. Let it begin. And now to reclaim Mahrak. Lady Rasut is rolling in on her chariot. We have a similar setup with two of the Basth and the Ancient Tomb Mummies, followed up by the regular old small battle kitties. Same thing on this other side here with our Tomb Prince and a single greater, two lesser Basth and the Kepler Guard and Ancient Tomb Mummies. We also have the giant Kepler Swarm rolling with them this time to help shut down any archers. I have all of my constructs moving together, but this time with the Kimric War Sphinx and the Sphinx and the Ushabti Ancients moving together, trying to sunder armor on any infantry and using that anti-infantry to blend through them once sundered. Same thing going with this group, a group of Ancients and a group of Regular to destroy anything that it may come into contact with. I have a group of the Battle Cats rolling with them and the Necropolis Knights up on the right flank. No other fancy flanking maneuvers, just going to be smashing right through the enemy. As the Basth charges on into a now undefended group of Tomb Guard archers who are running away. A poor decision. Once you've been caught, you might as well stick it and fight. Especially with the prodigious rank of Tomb Guard. We're doing good damage, and the Basth is going to be ripping into them as the smaller Battle Cats charge on in and grab the ankles. On the other side, Rasut and her Battle Cats are also engaged. She has summoned Wabal. I'm not going to be able to say the name on the fly. I had to practice to say it for the recording. Lil H, the hate cat, is moving on in to deal with the Tomb Guard archers back there in the back. And Rasut is going to be not doing amazing against these spearmen. I really can't wait to get her on her War Sphinx, as she so deserves. Most of the other units that have been spread out are being used fairly wastefully. And we'll just send the War Sphinx in to chase down these archers. They're going to retreat away from their protection. We will gladly take advantage. See what happens when archer chariots fight against any kind of Ushabti. It goes very poorly for them very quickly. And those that aren't crushed are going to quickly crumble away. Same thing with fighting two units of Necroserpents. Don't do it. Use those arrows. Back on over with the Battle Kitties. They have quickly moved on in on the archers who are trying to escape. And we just want to quickly either chase them off, crush them, and claim that point so no more towers are able to fire down on us from above. Tomb Prince is doing good work here, crushing everyone he comes into contact with. Kepler Guard chasing off this group of Tomb Guard archers, who don't deserve their title. These dual blades are going to do amazing work. Oh, nope, they're gone. Now they saw a couple of their guys get cut in half, and they're like, yeah, no, that's not enough. That's enough for me. The Greater Basth doing its work to shut down any archers. We just can't have any free chip damage going in on Rasut. He does not deserve it. She's in the middle of letting her ancient mummies deal with the enemy here. Got ancient mummies, small battle cast. These spearmen are having the worst day. As Rasut slowly works her way through. The Greater Basth chasing off these archers as another unit tries to come on over. Lovely guillotine of shadows cuts through the ground. Not the best cast. I could have probably bounced it off this way and hit him twice. But we got a bit of damage there. Several units of their archers have been captured. Interesting that they didn't do a better job of defending their archers. They kind of just left them up front to be ripped asunder. Seems like they threw in the towel before it started. We sent the Hemric War Sphinx on over. We have everyone together crushing this unit. Teamwork makes the enemies die faster. Same thing with this poor unfortunate group of archers. Battered aside and crushed by gigantic stone serpents, and we'll move back to claim this position. Over with the constructs, they are now bored and in need of a new target. They will soon get one. As the Basth are in kind of a bad position here doing battle against a Tomb Prince, who is more than capable of handling himself against a Battle Cat. But he is surrounded by many Battle Cats, and more are joining the fray quickly. That regard, move in to tear down this barricade. And the Kepra Swarm find themselves with a feast. As more approach from the corpses of the Battle Cats themselves. An absolute nightmare. Beetles everywhere. The enemy lies broken. We are down to just a few crumbling enemies. Several of their archer teams have been routed. We've got a lord in there somewhere. He's got so many friends. He's been sundered. He's been poisoned. His leadership breaks. And I think they've realized it is better to be part of Khemri than against them. Mahrak falls. So far, Lybaras has been unable to even slow down Rasut's unstoppable tide. We only lost 31 in that battle. We will again just go ahead and occupy the town. Mahrak again belongs to Khemri. The Devil's Backbone as well. Full province. We will quickly go ahead and throw in the... I actually think we'll grab the worship of either Khsar or Jaff. Let's go for Khsar to give us a little bit of extra melee defense in the entire province, while we are currently at war with Lybaras. We'll swing over to Rasut herself. We have to get up to rank 14 rather, before we get Remembered Grace. We'll get there. So for her actual skills, we'll grab the Impenetrable Pelt and Evasion. Make her even more dodgy. Prata also continue to make him harder to hit, but we'll grab it Desert Strike just first. Sounds good to me. She is now going to be camped out in Mahrak, which has a Catacombs and Lookout. Looks great. You all are building my empire wonderfully. Quick upgrades while we're moving through here. Take that all the way up to maximum since it is on the cusp of the enemy territory there. Khalida actually has moved in on Nekaph, which is going to be quite the battle. Khalida is rolling with herself the Rakham-Hotep's Lizard Riders, which actually were going to be going to Nekaph before we were besieged. She also has the Lions of the Sand and the Storm Riders of Khsar, so we have a bit of a mirror match coming. Khalida herself looks to be on a Necroserpent. Right, she's cavalry and poison attacks. I guess we'll see. She may just be on her... No, there she is. I can see riding on the giant cobra. Alright, well, let's... Oh. Coward, why would you come and fight us then? Now, there's no escape. Nekaph has been waiting for this moment. Actually, let's retreat real quick. Oh, I know, buddy. Let's merge together these two units here. I can do the same with these, but they would not gain nearly as much. So we'll kick out these Nahakara horsemen, and then add in the Lizard Riders ourselves. So we get a bit of a mirror match going. And then for Nekaph himself, we are going to bring him down to his skeletal steed so he can ride with his horsemen as he is meant to. I like the War Sphinx, so we'll probably move back and forth. Alright, by the gods indeed. Khalida must fall. This would give us a close victory on the Outer Resolve, and we would lose no one. They do not have access to the Tomb Swarm themselves, but they do have a Legionary Barrage, which is still pretty potent. 100% armor piercing. Let's take the fight to Khalida. Nekaph faces down arguably his most dangerous threat outside of Skarbrand. The High Queen of Lybaras stands defiant of Settra's will, and if he fails to defeat her here, there will be no stopping Khalida's armies from pouring out of the mountains and laying waste to recent acquisitions to Khemri. Nekaph readies his legions for the coming battle by sending scouts to take stock of the area's terrain. Khsar versus Asaph. Only one would leave this place. And it is time for a clash of the greats high in the mountains. Let's take a look at our overall battle strategy. I've got Nekaph back in the back with all of his riders, his mainline infantry off to the right to try to start up a flank over into these trees here. All of our horse archers rolling in to harass the enemy since they don't actually have all that many archers themselves. They've got the single unit of skelly archers in the back here, then a couple archer chariots. That is going to be far outmatched by the sheer number of arrows we're going to be sending their way. I've got the stalkers sitting up front to stop any kind of cavalry nonsense or chariot nonsense they may have themselves. Asaph blasts into our archers, murdering but a few. We really want Apophis to get into combat with Khalida because she will have all of the trouble dealing with Usirian's judgment. Against Nekaph on his horse, he will probably actually do plenty of damage, but the rest of the force, she will struggle. Let it begin. We've got storms ripping up through the middle. Stalkers blasting into the very deadly lizard riders here that we have 2 units of spear cav engaging together. Targeting down his most aggressive units and dealing with them first. Nekaph charged directly into Khalida just to distract her long enough to get some cavalry in on these archers. A gambit play, one that I hope pays off, as Nekaph takes a very serious bit of damage right off the bat. With our incredibly vast cavalry advantage, we are going to press the charge and crush this right flank as quickly as we can. They do have some carrion of their own there, but we have no units that are weak to carrion, and so we will be destroying them. Arrows flying on away, a blast from Asaph. He's got to stop doing that, it's rude. Got Kepra Swarm charging in, our own lizard riders ripping through this middle line of Nekaph warriors. They stand not a chance. Our archers are bullying this group of Nekaph warriors, filling them with arrows and then retreating on away. His lizard riders have already fallen. We do need to pull that cavalry group out of there before the Tomb Guard do manage to stop them. Our own lizard riders have been caught kind of in the middle of everything, so we want to either keep an eye on them or pull them out of that pretty quickly, otherwise they're going to have a bad day. Speaking of bad day, they're one group of archers caught out by our summoned cavalry who are about to get flanked. But they have done their job. They've done it well. Nekaph is now bravely running for his life. The High Queen of Khalida is no joke in combat, especially on top of that Necroserpent. He would need to be on the War Sphinx to stand even a smidgen of a chance against her in battle. And even then, I don't think it would be enough. We're going to want to try to drag her away from Nekaph and bring her towards any of our infantry teams. If we can bog that Necroserpent down in all of our blades, we should be able to do good damage. So Nekaph goes and finds himself another target. One that's not paying attention. While he is scared of Khalida, he's not so scared of her soldiers. Their chariots meet our sepulchral stalkers and are having a worse time of it. Tomb Guard are moving through to engage on our already crumbling away lizard riders. It looks like we are both going to be losing our regiments of renown in this battle. Such is the way. On the flank there, they have someone in there who's Shabti, so we want to pull our cavalry out there quickly. Arrows blinking away at this already crumbling unit. Just want to get them out of the battle a little bit faster. The more health we can chip off of them, the faster they will disintegrate. Realize that the Shabti were here. We want to pull them on back and let the Nekaph warriors of the ethereal variety move in to take their place. Khalida is now bogged down in the proper unit. Halberds will be tearing into that concrete structure with haste. Nekaph definitely using his drop to enemy leadership once he hits to destroy individual units of Nekaph warriors. Anyone who is exposed, take a hit from Nekaph and they are quickly going to be routing. For a low leadership army like the Tomb Kings, really bad time. Oh, I may have lied about their previous summon to Ushapi. Here comes another one, which is the true summon. Our lizard riders have fallen. We'll get a bit of a more cinematic shot of the battle. Off his rending bone, we're getting another charge directly in on the rear of these units here, crushing them in a hammer and anvil. Any that remain to fight will be quickly cut down by the combined force there. So much so that we got a voice crack. The halberds actually struggling a bit against Khalida, but better than anyone else, as another group of Assyrian comes down. Trying to pull that health off her as quickly as we can. As the Lions of the Sand break, hide it around long enough that their leadership is no more. Khalida is unbreakable though, and so the soldiers will have to surround and defeat her the old-fashioned way. The rest of the army though is going to remain at ease as Nekaph comes on over to get revenge. He's bogged down by the troops, but he's going to work his way through and smack Khalida. Take a bit of poison damage in the process. And as Apophis makes his way on over, Khalida is defeated. And for the time being, at least, the High Queen shall not bother us. The High Queen has been tested and found wanting. We only lost 270, and we actually did sacrifice Rakamhotep's Lizard Riders. Those guys seem to be, I mean, they're probably pretty good. I just sent them into a bit over their heads before I was able to get a full grips with what they're capable of. We pretty much annihilated Khalida. Nekaph didn't fare too well in his one-on-one with her, but that's all good. We managed to secure the win. I think we will go ahead and grab the Bind Souls option to continue our war with the Court of Lybaras easily. Perfect. Gain another Priest of Tra. And Khalida Never Living. The Warrior Queen was defeated once before in life, fatally. Although she was saved by the blessings of the Asp Goddess then, they cannot save her now. 30 more relations with Vampire counts, 2 rank for all of our missile units. And then we gain some more goodies as well. Well then, Nekaph, how's Dringaraka's looking? Would we be fighting this one out on the battlefield? That is a nasty army. King Rapesh is not looking as bad. Apophis could basically assassinate each and every single one of these Lich Priests as long as we were actually able to catch them. All of them are on horses, it looks like. Alright, here's what we'll do then. Prepare an ambush. And we'll scoot a little bit closer to the Crooked Fraying Fort. Nekaph has a 100% chance to ambush them. See if we can't catch these fools slipping. Swing over to Nekaph then. Give him a bit more weapon strength there. 624 sounds far superior. And actually, since he will be in an ambush, let's switch him over to his War Sphinx. Just so he's able to pack a bit more oomph once he does arrive. Or Apophis here. Go ahead and pass him out his skills. Assault Garrison or Training. Let's go for Training. Increase Nekaph's forces. Wrapup the Third as well. We can come on in and give him... He's already got hard to hit, so I think we'll go ahead and grab the full armor plate. Give him a bit more tankiness. Alright, that ambush is ready to go. And down back here in the south, we have Settra and Sehenismet. We are going to try to chase down Kairos. We're going to be on a merry chase on him for a while, I'm guessing. Kairos is going to coward his way out. Let's go ahead and jump into March Stance and see if we can't force him towards the coast. Just so we have an easier time hunting him down. He don't think he can reach his outland anymore. Perfect. We'll grab Settra then and have him charge into the Fortress of Dawn. Will give us a close victory with no Acer surviving. We will go ahead and give this one to the auto-resolve then, and claim this last settlement here, destroying Teclis. The Lore Master's destroyed with purely auto-resolves. Unfortunate. For Nebethar then, let's go ahead and grab the Specialist. And then prepare for Kugu. He's going to definitely move on down to Dawn's Light here since it has got a weakened garrison. So we'll just wait their arrival and smash them once they do. We'll grab the Caravan Master and put it to walls. Then we'll swing on into our Dynasty research. I think it's time to go ahead and start grabbing a couple of more of our Heralds here. Herald of Joff would increase the ability of all of the Ushabti. Mahrak for the Tomb Guard. Sphinx for Necrosphinx and Kimrian War Sphinx. Vanguard for Chariots, and then the Herald of the Scorpion increasing the anti-infantry for Tomb Scorpions. I think we're going to go for the Herald of the Sphinx. Spend some of our hard-earned Canopic Jars. The Vulture Lord is going to take back to the sea. I see several shipwrecks and the like for us to go ahead and clear out and get some extra gold and experience for Amenem. We may also declare war on whoever is inhabiting Sartosa, this being the Dawi of Clan Angrund, and see about starting a war with them. That would get the Wood Elves on side, which actually I think would be quite nice. Let's go ahead and take a look up into the north here. And we may send some of our hard-earned gold over to the Wood Elves as tribute. Get Orion on side. He is pretty violent, but we could probably... We've got some aversion here. Could probably send him a bit of a gift there. A small gift. 1,400 gold. Send it on his way. We will see some upward movement hopefully in a moment. And I'll also probably give something over here to Arguiglian. That way we are able to... Oh, we can't quite. Are we able to kind of game this one a little bit? Let's do payment, offer payment, pick that up once. And then take that off just to give them a gift of some kind. Sounds good. Now that we have made deals with both of Helson and the Big Tree Durthu here, that should start working both of their relations on up very nicely. Our ambush has failed, but we shall pay this no mind. They have several Tomb Guard with a couple upgrades for them. Their horsemen have the Equine Mummification. We have lots of upgrades to be handing out. We just don't have quite the Canopic Jars to do so yet, as of until more recently. Especially with trying to afford the additional army here. It's going to predict a Pyrrhic victory with extremely high casualties. I think we would definitely lose a majority of the forces that are waiting in the wings to reinforce. Either way, though, Kakalek has come on over to die, and we shall gladly oblige. And for this battle, Nekaph has traded in his a bit more fragile horse for the Kimric War Sphinx. We need a stone monstrosity to bring down several other kings, and one of them is going to be riding on his own War Sphinx, so we have much to deal with. I've got all of my skirmish cavalry up front to try to cause some problems off the bat. They do have several threats to even our skirmish cavalry. They've got these Ushabti with Great Bow, and they do have themselves a Casket of Souls, which as of right now is rolling with Traw's Incantation of Righteous Smiting, giving it even more armor piercing and a base missile damage. So a nasty unit. And we'll see it getting some very good damage for the enemy as the battle progresses. First shot goes away. Smashing home into our lads, only clipping a few, but several models already being destroyed. We're going to want to quickly move the rest of the main body force in to engage so we can shut down that Casket of Souls. We were going to wait just a bit, but I had missed that casket in the initial overview of the army, and so we realized very quickly that we needed to charge in, change strategies. We're sending the skirmish cavalry to the far sides, just to plink away at what he believes is his own cavalry. We're going to throw things into slow-mo. This group of archers needs to retreat at quick haste. They've got some skeleton horsemen on their tail. Shabti great bows are firing on in and destroying several of my horse archers. As the grip of Assyrian comes down on my riders of Khsar. No matter, and undaunted, the warriors continue forward. We have many enemies to slay, we gotta get to it. But very quickly that they have a single horseman over here, and we actually have a cavalry advantage, so we switch targets. all of our cavalry are going to be charging together to deal with this group of equine mummified horsemen. We're going to have a very bad day. Battle engages in earnest across the whole board. We're going to head and slow things down so we can get a better scale. Several of my horsemen moving right on in. We needed to just shut down as many of their archers as we could. Stop them from firing in at whoever they want. As the High Queen has many units across our line here. With the same kind of thing going on the other end there, is any of their units that they got had overextended was immediately charged in on by all of our cavalry in one charge. Got the riders crashing on into the archers as Nekaph himself dives into two groups of Tomb Guard. Not really where he wants to be, so we're going to want to get him out of here quickly, but he can bound on in, deal that leadership damage, and move on. As my cavalry quickly deal with his fast movers. Syrian's swarm has come on in and engaged with the Casket of Souls. We've just got to keep it from firing the best we can, as Apophis has gotten stuck on in with all of the Sepulchral Stalkers. Actually a better unit for him to be fighting against, since he does have Ethereal, they don't have magical attacks, and we have our own Stalkers to be firing in on this big clumped up force from the back there. Our infantry is still slowly making their way across the battlefield, as we have also picked off another group of chariots, and our reinforcing army of weaklings has arrived. Chariots are crushed, and the unit that was summoned in by Nekaph to just disrupt the Ushabti Greatbow has finally given on up. They've started to crumble, but they've actually performed their job very well. These Greatbows have been doing almost nothing and are only at 14 kills. It would be much higher at this point otherwise. Infantry still making their way across the battlefield as the gaze of the desert splashes into the backs of our enemies. Horse archers have moved back in so they can get some nice shots in behind the shields of our enemies as they engage with our regular line cavalry. Nekaph is single combating with a prince, teaching him the true meaning. He doesn't even need all of his health to win. Nice shots going in, ripping some health off those Sepulchral Stalkers. Apophis is in a dangerous spot here. Got a whole bunch of enemies around him. He doesn't have a lot of health left. Got a grip of Assyrian coming down on their glass target, though. Hotmas, the Lich Priest, taking a bit of damage. Apophis himself, though, is taking a bit too much. Our Lord has been rampaged out by one of the curses, but it should not matter as the rest of the guard have not actually received any kind of debuff. So they'll be fighting. Why, I'm going to completely have to keep my words there. Everyone else has the same kind of debuff, but he is completely surrounded, so regardless, it's a bad day to be a prince. And a cursed scarab prince as well. The Ushabti Greatbow have engaged with the worst possible target for them, and they are going to be quickly crushed by these halberds as long as they don't run through them, which looks to be the way. Apophis does end up being killed by King Rapesh here, exploding in a vengeful cloud. If there were more infantry units around, that would have probably done an insane amount of damage, but it was pretty well mitigated by Rapesh and just the fact that he is a single entity. Battle is far from over. Apophis has fallen, and all we have left really is these horsemen. We're not actually all that great at dealing with single entity units. Very good at running down any kind of infantry or missiles that are exposed. Not so great at dealing with remaining lords and heroes. There are two more Sphinxes still wandering around. One belonging to Rapesh, the other belonging to Nekaph. We're just kind of charging him in and out, trying to deal all the damage we can with his crown. Just delete these stalkers with crumbling. Get out of there before the other king arrives. We're having to be very devious with Nekaph to win. Our horsemen are a bit overextended here. Let's see if we can't wrap them around these archers while the Guard of Nekaph move in to use those halberds. They've been chasing down these bowmen for a while now. The Roomba of Death has been vroom-vrooming around trying to kill as many of our units as it can. But luckily it is not firing on what it wants to. Kemper Guard can sit there and absorb all of that fire. We have a lovely charge coming on in by the remaining cavalry. Doing everything they can to lower the leadership of the enemy and get them crumbling away to dust. Rapesh finally is starting to break. Our reinforcing forces are starting to make it on over. Been quite the journey for them. One more smack on King Kakalek. And Rapesh now is the last surviving member. War Sphinx is fighting hard. Completely surrounded by determined warriors of Kimri, though. His health bar plummets. We're getting the last hit of our Realm of Souls. Sending healing coursing through their veins and their bones as Rapesh falls, sealing his fate and the fate of Lybaras. And another army of Lybaras falls. We did get Apophis wounded in the fighting, and we lost a unit of our skeleton horsemen, but they shall be replaced, and Apophis will recover. We will give the Scarecrow banner on over to Nekaph then, and we will claim the souls for this victory.
I always need slaves.
And the beasts yet again move to another town. We have no chance in this fight, so we will give this one to the auto-resolve, and Uatok will fall. And for a final battle, we have cornered Kairos on this peninsula down here. So Hindismet, do the honors. Looks like he should have nowhere to run to. What? Nonsense.
We never tire.
Alright, well, we gotta continue to keep him cornered here then. I'm sure he's gonna find a way to escape. We're gonna continue to chase Kairos around so he does not continue to steal our settlements and hand them off to our enemies. We're gonna have Settra move up here and chase down Kugu, who is just bullying our random settlements. Come on over here and threaten Tor Serpendar and see if he decides to disengage and come and attack us over here. Perfect. We are going to sprint over to defend against these beastmen, but for now, with that final victory against Lybaras, that is going to be all the time for this episode. I hope you all enjoyed part 14 of my Settra narrative campaign. If you have any tips, tactics, or unit name suggestions, take to the comments and let's start a discussion. Remember to leave a like for the like god and a sub for the sub throne, and I will see you all